I went from knowing nothing on day one to becoming a go-to engineer in 8 months. Here's exactly what I did in my first month to make that happen. I've been in a rotational program for the last 8 months, and I've been in manufacturing engineering, and I've worked on some huge projects, and I've built a really solid reputation within my plant. And I just wanted to show you how to build a reputation very quickly and be a good engineer right out of the gate, so where you're not just stagnating out of your career straight out of college and being able to add value as soon as possible and really be able to kind of jumpstart your career as an engineer, especially within manufacturing. So the first one is to get off your butt and to get out of the office. So this one's very important. I see this a lot in people that we have recently hired. It's very easy on your first day. You have a bunch of computer training, online stuff that you need to do to kind of get onboarded and finish that process. But honestly, you should be using your first couple of days and first couple of weeks just getting on the floor, talking to people, meeting people, knowing who's your go-to contacts, knowing how the organization of your facility is broken down and who to go to for within each department. You don't have to be on the floor turning wrenches, doing the process, even though that helps a ton too. Your big thing here is just talking to operators and learning names. Because honestly, here's the truth: a lot of people will think that you're a good engineer just because you talk to them and you know your name. There is a quality supervisor at my facility who thinks I am the best engineer in the entire plant, and I have never worked on a single project with him. He just likes talking to me, and we just make jokes with each other. And we've actually never worked together, and he thinks I'm great just because I know him and I know his team very well. And this is huge because number one, it's going to get people to trust you. And number two, it's going to get people to help you when you need it. And trust me, as a young engineer, you are going to need it. This one's huge because if you don't do this early and on day one, you'll be 3 or 4 months into your career and you're going to have to, your boss is going to say, hey, you're going to have to reach out to this person over here and ask for their help. And it's going to be a lot easier if you already know that person to begin with and you already have a relationship with them. And whenever you go and ask them for help, it's not going to be completely out of the blue. And it's not just going to be some young, cocky engineer asking them for help. That's a terrible position to be in. And I'm guilty of it even myself, just because it's impossible to know everyone in your plant, but knowing as many people, especially within your area, is going to be key here. The second thing I want you to do is just listen. God gave you two ears and one mouth for a reason. I see this also a lot in people that have just started is they come in, they come to meetings and they kind of offer their opinions way too early and it just kind of is off-putting. They may have great insights and may have great experience and they could have been great students, but ultimately you just need certain time in every new facility that you go to, whether you have 50 years of experience or 5 days of experience. It's just good for you to kind of like sit back and listen. And this is something that I saw. We just recently got a new manager in the materials department that I work in. I noticed that whenever he was coming into meetings, he wasn't really talking or really even asking questions or engaging in meetings. He was just sitting back and listening. And he's probably been there for 2 or 3 months now, and he's making a huge impact because I feel like he just took those first couple of weeks to just listen and understand what the problem points are. So that way he knows where to focus and where to attack, as well as who he can depend on and who he can't. So I take that as a young engineer and I want to absolutely emulate that because a huge thing that you need to understand is you have absolutely zero value to your company. You just graduated college and you know nothing. And that is completely okay. Your boss hired you with that knowledge and that intent. So use that to your advantage and just sit back, listen, ask questions, and be as engaged as possible because you're not going to have that freedom later. You're going to have to be more engaged. You're going to have to give your opinion, give your thoughts, and actually lead meetings. So this kind of also goes in with the first one is going onto the floor, asking operators questions, asking supervisors questions, asking leads questions, and getting to know your facility, your area, your line, and your people. And that's what's going to set you apart so much from all the other young engineers that come straight out of college. Being a learner will set you apart so much more than trying to sound smart in meetings. The last thing I want to say is say yes to everything. This actually goes against a lot of what I believe in long term. I'm a lean person and I think you should say no as much as possible. But in your first month of working out of school, you need to say yes to every opportunity. Whether it's, hey, do you want to be a part of this recurring meeting? or hey, do you want to get involved in this project? Hey, do you want to come do this with us after work? Do you want to come to this networking event? Anything at all that you hear about, you should definitely say yes to and seize the opportunity. I kind of view this the same way as I would recommend to a freshman in college. Go get involved on everything on campus and then cut it out as you see fit. Every single one of those is an opportunity to learn something new, meet someone important, or make a good first impression. Obviously, you don't really know what matters yet. So the best thing you can do is just kind of expose yourself to everything and then figure out what needs trimming, what you can stay away from, and what you can focus on. For example, this is what I did whenever I started. It was like I went to the manufacturing engineers meetings, I went to the quality meetings, I went to the production meetings, I went to warehouse meetings, all those things. And then I kind of found, hey, this warehouse stuff, this is kind of my niche. This is kind of where I want to stay in. This is what I want to focus on. This is where I see the most need for help, most improvement. These are the people that I like to work with the most. So then I cut out all those other meetings. I cut out talking to all those other people. And I said, this is my lane. I'm going to stay on it and I'm going to deliver the best possible projects possible just because that's where I felt I could add the most value. So honestly, if you do these three things in your first month as a new grad in engineering, you're on the floor building relationships and learning people's names. You're listening and learning instead of talking, and you're saying yes to all the opportunities that you can, you will be successful, and that will absolutely skyrocket your career those next couple of months, and you will be the absolute wonder child of your facility. And they'll be like, I wish I could hire 10 more people like you, because people say that to me all the time, and they can't wait for me to finish the program and hire me back because those are the three things that I did. It's not something that you don't need a 4.0 GPA. You don't need to save your company millions of dollars. You just need to be a smart, hard worker that goes, meets people, makes relationships, asks the right questions, and says yes when needed and says no when you don't have to. That's the reality of manufacturing. It's not always numbers and spreadsheets. It's a lot of relationship based, and that's kind of what you need to understand in your first month. It's not exactly what it's like when you learned in school. All the truth is on the floor with the people that are actually doing the jobs. And if you don't have buy-in from those people, you're never going to make any actionable changes. And your job early on is just to kind of learn to see things for how they really are and kind of cut through all the BS that everybody else will feed you. So if you're a new engineer and you're kind of feeling lost, that is completely normal. I know I felt the same way. But looking back, I'm so proud of the natural instincts I followed and was able to make a difference so early on and build those relationships. So if you're in a similar position, drop a comment. I'd love to hear kind of like what y'all have been through and what your first couple months have been like in engineering. So like, comment, subscribe. I will catch you guys in the next one.